Oh, well, hello, my friend. You're back. All right, move this way. It's stuck to all the dry and inanimate stuff, right? But not to the driveway. First snow of the year. All right, I gotta get my tail to work. Kind of hit snooze a little bit too much today. Oh. All right, let's do it. All right, it is 11:13 in the morning on Friday, and I just got off of work, and I still have a long day ahead of me. So I'm heading over to the laundromat to go ahead and take care of laundry today. Then I'll get home, get everything put away, head over to Brother Will's, catch a shower, then hop back in the truck and drive up to Anchorage, catch a flight tonight down to the lower 48. Headed down to see the kids and the grandkids. Kind of excited about that. It'll be a nice break. I'm on vacation next week. There's just so many things to do, man. It's crazy. It's crazy the amount of things you have to do and prepare for whenever you're leaving town. I got Brother Will watching the chickens. Plenty of food set up for them. I got to get a bottle of propane today, and then I'll have all my propane bottles filled up and taken care of. And I'm flying what they call the red eye up here, because that's usually the cheapest flight. And that is leaves at 1:50 a.m. in the morning, actually on Saturday morning, the 14th. There to Portland to Sacramento, California. I land in Sacramento at 8:30 in the morning, and then my youngest daughter picks me up, Ashley, at 8:30. Well, when I land, and then we drive another three and a half hours from there. I should be getting to Tuolumne, where my oldest daughter lives, by about noon. Hopefully, I'm going to be exhausted. I'm going to be exhausted, but it's worth it. Snow's pretty much all melted. We got rain in the forecast for the next week and a half, which is good. I don't want to come back to, being buried in snow. Oh. Usually what I do too is I pull over at one of the rest areas on the inlet, Cook Inlet, when I'm on my way up there, turn again arm, and take a nap. Because it doesn't really make any sense to get to the airport before 11 o'clock at night. Park the truck in Diamond Parking up there in Anchorage. It's actually cheaper for me to drive up and drive back, even with gas and paying for parking, than it is to fly round trip. The flying round trip's around $300. Parking's about $85 a week, and I might burn $100 in gas up and back. And the view's beautiful this time of year. All right, I'm gonna go get everything done, and then rush to get all the rest of the stuff done, get everything packed. And I packed pretty much everything last night, but I've got some clothes today that I'm going to wash. This way, when I come back, I don't have to deal with any of that stuff. I'm ready to go right back to work on Monday. But I'll be gone for a week. It'll be beautiful. nice. Just got to the truck after a week in California with the kids and the grandkids. It was freaking awesome. It was like 93 degrees the other day. I come home, truck temperature says it's 27 degrees outside. I was wearing short pants, I had to change. It's good to be home. God, it's good to be back in Alaska. Oh. All right. So Will informed me my buddy heater wouldn't work today when he tried to fire everything back up again. So he's got Todd's buddy heater over there. Todd came over and loaned me his. So I'll have to obviously be running to town and picking up a new buddy heater tomorrow. I've had some issues with it, but I think part of this might be operator error on Will's part because he doesn't use them that much. So we'll check it out and see. But I could probably use a backup anyway again. It seems like I'm buying a new one every other year, and I was thinking of buying one of the bigger, nicer ones. I might just do that this year, get that done. Let the truck warm up a bit, and then we shall head out. I got 3/4 of a tank of gas, according to what my truck says, which is awesome. So I'll probably still stop off there at right there at the turn off to Alyeska, fill up, get some coffee. Like I said, 6:30. I'll get probably on the road here by the next 10 minutes or so. I should be able to get home by 10 o'clock, which would be nice. Be very nice. All right. Beautiful sunset, though. Last night, I guess the northern lights were going freaking crazy. So it could take me longer to get home if we do, in fact, have lights again. Tad chilly this morning. This may look a bit different because it's actually Todd's buddy heater. Just got back from California. I was gone for a week, down seeing the kids and the grandkids. And this morning when I woke up, it's 8 degrees outside. It's 49 degrees downstairs here. And it's 59 degrees upstairs with the, and Todd keeps sending me messages, with the single buddy heater going on. And that's thawing out. Anyway, I guess I had some issues with heaters while I was gone. Both the buddy heaters took a dump. I was having trouble. I knew the little one was being an issue. And I was having some trouble with the bigger ones before I left, but I wasn't really that worried about it because I do plan on installing this wood stove and I want to get the backup heater. So the first thing I'm going to do today is get dressed, take a trip to town, hit the orange store, see what they have. Will said Fred Meyers has got buddies on sale, so I'll have to see which ones they have there too as well. Kind of want to go a little bit different route this year. Had a wonderful visit though down there. Man, it was nice. And the floor, it's 8 degrees outside, and I have a single pair of socks on right now. I mean, I can feel the cool, but it's not bitter cold. It's actually pretty awesome. Chickens are all intact. I left my daughter's, I left my youngest daughter's house. She drove me. She picked me up from the airport, and then I spent the last night at her place again. We stayed down at her sister's for a while, and then she took me back up to her place. I spent the last night there. But we left her house at about 8 o'clock in the morning yesterday morning, and I pulled into the driveway here at about 10:30 last night. Played around, like I said, with the heaters here. Didn't have any luck. That's probably my biggest complaint about buddy heaters is that when you give them a whole bunch of use, and I don't know if there's anything special I'm supposed to be doing to them, but when you give them constant use like I do, or have over the last few years, you're only going to get a couple of years out of them. But, you know, a couple of years for a heater that costs you $100, I can't really complain about that. $50 a year, basically. You know, if I'm lucky, I can get 3 years out of it, right? So $34 a year. Got to bed last night about midnight. I did pull the big blanket out of the cupboard. So we're going to have to get ready for winter because I think it's here. It is going to warm up this week. We'll be in the 40s the next day or two. But it's only by, you know, the grace of that I don't have a ton of snow out in my yard right now. And I got to warm it up because I need to pour a concrete threshold for this wood stove. I'm going to punch that hole through the wall for the woods, you know, for the through the wall kit for the pipe. So I want to get everything else raised up to level so before I make that call so that I can get that measurement just right. The pipe adjusts, so I'm not really worried that much if I'm off by an inch or so, but I'd like to get it
through there. So that'll be a project that I'm working on over the next week or so. I still need to button some more things up around the windows here. I need to find another doorknob for that door because it was not right to begin with. It's for a residential door, and this is actually a commercial door. And then I need to finish around the window in the kitchen, and I'd like to get some drapes up because I think that'll also go a very long way to get to keep the heat in here. And that's the biggest battle that I have. It seems like every year is trying to keep heat in here, but by the way this is reacting this morning, I'm not too upset with how this is. One little heater has got this place very livable at 8 degrees Fahrenheit. And it's just starting to warm up now outside. All right, I'm going to get dressed and get to town. All right, back home again. 50 degrees downstairs, 59 upstairs, and 17 outside. I think part of the problem that I had, or I have had with these Buddy heaters over the last couple of years, I've read a couple of articles on them in the past, and I never really paid them much attention, but I probably should have. The hose, the extension hose that I use from my bonus tank there is, it breaks down. So as it breaks down, it sends pieces of itself into the heater, which can gum it up. And I'm getting like 2 years out of it. There's a 3-year warranty on them. So obviously you can bet I'm going to save the receipt for this one. Get out of there. Get out of the box. There we go. But I upgraded from where I was with the small one originally, followed by this one, or followed by the one I was using, the medium one, to the... This is like the largest size 2-plate Buddy heater that you can get. It's got the pilot, the low, medium, and high range on it. It's set up for 2 tanks. So you tank here, tank there. Hopefully one's going to be all I need to worry about. And this time I spent an extra 20 bucks and I bought the fuel filter for the Buddy heater. Yep, so I put it on the right hand side. So it's just a simple fuel filter that basically screws in on the side here. Come on. We'll screw it down till it doesn't screw down anymore. Give it a little snug fit. And then I'll go ahead and hook up the hose to that. So this filter will hopefully prolong the life of the heater. And then if all this works out right, I'll just get Todd's and put it back in his box. Apparently his was brand new. And get this one all set up and ready to go. Well, it looks like one burner. And medium. That makes me nervous. So that is going to be medium as well. Which takes us to the same power as that other unit was putting out completely. And if we go to high, it lights the second one up. We'll crank it on high for a bit and see what it does, how warm it gets us. So this panel is 9,000 BTU. So basically when it's on medium, this one is running on high. And then the panel to the right of it is another 9,000 BTU. So when you're in high, both of those panels are on high. For example, this was the size of the one previously. that I had. So this was like a 12,000 BTU. And then this one here is the single panel buddy heater. So basically this panel is about the same size as that one. This is a 9,000 BTU. Cool. Well, that should warm things up. We'll see how hot we can get it inside. It's still chilly out, man. One of the other problems we have when it gets this cold is water for the chickens. I need to get them a better watering bowl. I'm pretty sure that one outside's frozen up. You know what? I can give them this for now. This is my salmon bowl. Give them some fresh water because I'm sure their water's frozen solid. Good morning, ladies. How are you? How are you doing? Well, calm down and relax. Be right there. Come on. Come inside. Get. Thank you. Come on. Move. Come on. Come on, girls. Come on. Get you over here. There we go, ladies. How are you? Looks like I got some chickens going into molt, which is not good this time of year. So hop in there and get some water. Oh, coming through. Come on, watch out. Watch out. You guys got water, you're good. Get back in. Yeah, this is frozen solid. I'll show you. A block of ice. It will thaw out later on this week. I'll have to make sure I start bringing water to the chickens every day, twice a day. Also, I brought the generator inside because that's going to be my plan anyway, right? Is to store it inside as opposed to storing it outside. And then store it inside. When I need to use it, I'll take it outside. It'll be room temperature that way. So even though I have an insulated floor now, and this morning, I was on it with a single layer of socks, I still have a lot of heat loss in the cabin. And the windows are some of the biggest issues with heat loss. So I need to go through here, tape all this stuff off, clean it all off, and get it, well, fill it up first, and then tape it off and get it all sealed off. So that these windows are done. Upstairs, it's not as big of an issue. I've got those pretty well filled, so I'm not losing a lot of heat out of there. But the kitchen window, I didn't know what I was doing. I framed it completely wrong. Let me show you what I got over there. So this kitchen window is a little bit off on this side, a little bit, and a bit off on that side. So I need to shove another board in here all the way back, and then I can go ahead and foam around it so I don't lose a lot of heat out of the kitchen window as well. Again, this was just Sean not knowing what he was doing when he was measuring windows out. I should have taken a rough measurement of this window before I framed this window so that I knew how big I actually had to leave it to get my room, but it's just nice having a window in here. Also, while I have the hardwood flooring here, it adds another layer of insulation, I should say. To the top of the floor, I'm still bare OSB here, in the kitchen, in the pantry, and in the bathroom, so I don't have as much warmth coming up through those areas. And I plan on getting that taken care of here as soon as possible. It's all indoor stuff, so it'll happen all winter long. I had a bunch of comments on how I should do the what my original plan was for the underneath of the cabin when I put the insulation on there is I bought a roll of vapor barrier that's 10 feet wide and 100 feet long. So I thought, right, insulation, then vapor barrier, then plywood. But everybody's telling me that I need to make sure that if I'm going to do that vapor barrier, it's against the floor, the subfloor, because that's the warm location. And if I don't do that, then condensation will collect on the bottom. And that got to making sense to me. So I don't think I'm going to use vapor barrier at all down there. Russell, who I give kudos to and a shout out in on that same insulation video, told me that his buddy Ray, and everybody who knows Russell and knows Ray, knows that Ray's a genius. Russell just used hardware cloth. So I thought, okay, well, I'm at the orange store today because I was out looking for this. And for all the parts that I needed for this, the filter and everything else. So I'll look at hardware cloth. So I bought a 25-foot long roll of hardware cloth, the 1/4 inch squares, and it's just the metal. It's like a metal screen, but they're 1/4 inch, 1/2 inch. You can get them whatever size you want. But I got the 1/4 inch, 25 feet for $55. The only problem is it's only 2 feet wide. Metal's expensive. Metal's ridiculous. So if I use the hardware cloth on the entire bottom, it's going to cost me roughly $250 per side of the cabin, or $500 in hardware cloth. I'm not spending that much money on hardware cloth. That's ridiculous. But the way that the cabin sits on the beams, right? And I'll show you this later on in this video. The way that the cabin sits on the beams, the subfloor does. I needed something for the outside edge anyway, so I think I'm going to use that hardware cloth and run that all the way down the outside, so that I have an air gap in there. And then I'll just put plywood over everything else. So that way, at least it keeps some air open in there so that you have some circulation. At the same time, it stops the rodents from getting in there. And then I will end up throwing the plywood up there to stop the critters from getting in. A lot of people also commented that I need to get that covered up because the critters will get in there. I don't have a lot of critters. I have squirrels and stuff here. And yes, they will use that stuff to make nests. But I thought about that when I was doing it. So all of the scrap that I have for all of the insulation that I put under the floor is sitting downstairs in a pile. It's on the ground in a pile where it's super easy for anything that wants to take it to take it. My thought process for that was that if it's super easy for them to get to, that's what they'll take first. So while I understand that, yes, in fact, the critters will want to get up in that insulation, it's only been up for like a week and a half. I just got back from vacation now. And I'll do a good inspection before I clean it all up to make sure, or before I seal it all up to make sure there's nothing in there. The problem is when I was pricing plywood today at the orange store, they didn't have any. So none. I mean, none of the small stuff, because I won't use like 1/2 inch or 3/4. I want to use as thin as possible on that. And then I'm going to nail it all up in the front part of the cabin. And then I'm going to screw it in the middle on the back side of the cabin, because I'm going to have water on the right-hand side of my pantry and the left-hand side of my pantry. I'm also probably going to have electrical on the left-hand side of my pantry in the kitchen, in the bathroom, and on the right-hand side of the pantry in the kitchen. I'll have like 110 outlets. Just a few of them. One of them for the refrigerator, because I'm just going to go with a regular residential refrigerator in here and build up my battery bank. But I want to be able to access those floors underneath for drains and that kind of stuff. So the sink will be in the kitchen on the right-hand side of the pantry. I'll show you. Let me spin it around here. Okay, so I'm going to probably do a couple of 110 outlets down here at the bottom, and that'll be for the refrigerator that's going to go here. I'm going to have my sink roughly right here, And everybody says, why don't you put the sink under the window? Because when I'm washing dishes, I'm looking at dishes. I'm not looking out the frickin' window. But when I'm making bread or mixing doughs and stuff like that, I will do that while I'm looking out the window because, you know, I don't need to look at my hands when I'm doing that. So I'll have probably a 110 outlet up on here. I don't know what I'll ever use it for, but I'll have it. And then I'll have one for the refrigerator, the sink here, which means it'll have a drain that will come down here. And that will tie into the drain that's going to be in the bathroom. And I'll move the camera over there to show you that. Let me turn the pantry light on first. So, make sure you got enough light in there to see what I'm doing. It's rough, but you'll be able to. So my other thought is that I'm going to do the shower and the bathtub against this back wall here. So I want the water to come in from here, right? So I don't have any lines on exterior walls in the cabin. That will keep the lines, I'm going to use PEX anyway, but that'll keep the lines from ever having to worry about freezing as long as I keep the temperature inside warm enough. So I'm going to have the water coming in from there and the water coming into a sink that's going to be, you know, eventually probably a toilet and a sink right in here as well. And if I have to run water lines up, I can always run them up and over underneath the subfloor for the loft. So if I have to maneuver a few things around, eventually I would like to have a toilet in here. It'd be nice not to have to use an outhouse all the time. But in the beginning, all I'm worried about is the sink and the shower bathtub. And I'll need those drain lines to come out and go back into a small, not really a septic tank, but more of a kind of a leach field situation out there. And that will allow me to drain that water off or even possibly collect that water and use it for the garden, you know, during the summer. But I want to be able to evacuate it out of the building because, again, I don't want it freezing in here. Would like to get some lights run in here though soon, because it's kind of driving me nuts not having any light in this room. I am going to put away all the clothes and everything from the vacation trip, and then probably just work around the property, or work around the inside, cleaning things up today. So I've had the Buddy heater on now at full force, and I just turned it down to medium. I've had it on for, what, about maybe 4 hours. And the inside of the place was cold, so we have to get it all warmed up. But it's 85 degrees upstairs in the loft and 71 degrees downstairs. I'm working on a way to equalize that out because that's way, way, way too warm. But this thing's working awesome. Very, very happy with it. And then the chicken waterer, I've been emptying it as it's thawing out throughout the day. I want to get that thing completely thawed out and emptied, cleaned up, and put away for the season because I'll be taking water out to them on a regular basis. Every day now. But yeah, so this thing's working super top notch. No issues whatsoever. Buddy heaters are a pretty darn, you know, they're a pretty darn good thing to have if you really need something to generate some heat. And they're very safe to use inside. You know, a bunch of people have had negative comments about using them indoors, but I've never had an issue with them. I've been using them for 10 years. But this one's Cadillac. This one's a nice one. I should talk about one of the negative things that people talk about when you're heating with propane that's non-vented inside of a house. One of the byproducts of that propane heat is moisture, water. So upstairs right now at 85 degrees Fahrenheit, there's a 32% humidity upstairs. Downstairs now at 70 degrees Fahrenheit, we've got 48% humidity. And that'll kind of balance itself out. What I noticed when I got home yesterday was I was running about 40 and 40. Again, propane is going to be my backup heat source. Right now, it's my primary heat source until I get the wood stove finished and installed. But I've done this in the trailer for the last 3 years on the property off-grid. And it was a much tighter enclosed space. and I had quite a bit of ice buildup. Everything froze. But I don't look for that to be an issue with the cabin, mainly because I still have a bunch of exposed wood in here that's relatively dry, so it'll suck up a lot of that moisture. And then everything inside's been vapor barriered, so that's all done as well. But I'm not, by any shake of the imagination, upset with those percentages of humidity. I think that those are very, very doable inside the cabin. And we'll look at it again in the morning when I get up. If I remember, I'll come down here and I'll let you know what the temperature is now. But like I said, I have that turned down on the lowest setting on the medium setting, not the lowest setting. So now it's putting out 9,000 BTUs instead of the 18,000 BTUs that it was putting out all day today. And I'm hoping that as I run this throughout the week, what's going to end up happening is we're going to get the entire mass warmed up enough and it'll hold more heat throughout the week. I didn't get a chance to try everything out as much as I wanted to last week before vacation, mainly because I was turning the heater off every single night. We weren't that cold, and we're not going to be that cold going forward. This week will be in the 40s, but right now it's 29 degrees Fahrenheit, so pretty happy with that. Oh. Ready to head out the door to go to work. 3:30 in the morning, 15 degrees Fahrenheit outside. My temp upstairs, running it on the medium setting, is 68 degrees, and downstairs is 60. That'll kind of level out a bit because I'm notorious for opening a window while I sleep, so I get that cold air in my face, and obviously it stays warmer there and sucks the air up here. I'm going to turn this down to the lowest setting now when I go to work. We'll check it out again when I get home. Oh, man. Not used to this, getting up early and going to work again.